There's an entire resource of sound design gold sitting on your synth right now, and you're not using it. Most would agree that if you want to get better at using synths, the quickest way to do that is to improve your sound design. But how do you even do that? What things can you do to better your understanding of what a synth is even doing? Well, here's a little tip. If you already own a synth, then you are off to a good start. I have a Novation Peak in front of me. I really like the Peak for learning synthesis because all of the different elements and parts of a synth patch are laid out in a nice order. But if you have any other hardware or software synth, this method will probably still work for you too. Something we take for granted with a lot of our gear nowadays is that these things are literally full of presets made by amazing sound designers. The Peak has hundreds of presets made by Novation and different artists available in components. And the tip here isn't to just use presets, by the way, not that that's a bad thing to do. The idea is to reverse engineer these patches to a simple wave oscillation like a sine or a square wave and figure out what each parameter on your synth is doing in these presets. We almost want to work backwards, so I'd start tweaking the stuff that I would probably do at the end of creating a patch, like the effects, and see what they're doing. And the nice thing about the Peak is it actually shows what the saved value of that preset is supposed to be. And then I'd probably go to the filters, and we'll probably start to hear the patch really doing some different things here now. The envelopes are where you're going to hear some real differences in the timbre of the patch itself, and you can start to hear, you might even start to lose signal at some points, but that's okay. We're just trying to figure out what they're all doing. And eventually we get back to where you would normally start when making a patch, the oscillators. And I can hear here that some of the LFO2 depth on these oscillators are creating a little bit of that sort of chorusy sound. And even things like changing the wave gives you a good idea of how changing these different things affects the sound of the pitch. The idea is that eventually you want to end up with something that sounds sort of like a sine wave, like an initialized patch. An extra step that you can do to test yourself is to work back the other way. So try and recreate the patch from that sine wave sound. And the Peak's pretty good for this because you can actually see what the values are supposed to be. So we can actually just kind of slowly tweak through all of this and figure out sort of roughly where things are supposed to be to get that sound again. This patch was originally, I think, a sawtooth wave, and you want to make sure that it's like that. But yeah, I just keep going through these now, and eventually, with some camera magic, we're back to how the patch once sounded. Give this tip a go and see if it helps you. If you have any tips on how to improve your sound design, then let us know in the comments below.